we are going to see about external method. External method in the sense we can write the task or a function outside the class and we can able to access those things inside the class. Okay, that's external method. Then we are going to say about randomization and constraints. In the early class, we discussed about the scope resolution operator. That scope resolution operator is going to use to access the external methods. It is written outside the class. So definition of the method written outside the body of the class, then the method is called external methods. With the help of this external qualifier keyword, okay, we can able to declare the method inside the class. The external qualifier indicates that the body of the method is implementation is to be found outside the class declaration. See, this is one example class packet is the end class. Within that, we are declaring the method name. Okay. Using the external qualifier, it is a type protected type. Okay. That means encapsulation we are using local and protected. Here it is the protected one. Virtual function int send. Send is the method name. Okay. It's a type of int. Then here argument passing, input argument value is declared as int. So this implementation of this function will be mentioned outside the class. So here function int before the class of function name, before the function or the task name, we need to mention the class name, scope resolution operator, the function name. So in this way, we need to represent outside the class so that we can able to use inside the class. We define of this method, we should do like this. Then body of the method, we can write the actual functionality here, the in function. Let's see one example for this. Here, inside this class, I have two properties. One is address, another one is data. Inside that, I just declare the function name with the help of external virtual function void display. So this display actual functionality I implement outside the class here function. So to mention this function name through this class scope resolution function name, like that we need to mention here. I will implementing the function void class name scope resolution function name. Then I put a dollar display and I am displaying the value of address and data. Then in module name is external method. Here I instantiate this packet as P. Then I create new constructor for this so that I can able to access the fields and methods. P dot address I am assigning as 10 and P dot data I assign as 20. Now I am calling P dot display this method. This method implementation I implemented outside the class. With the help of external qualifier, I can able to declare that inside the class. So I am getting address as 10 and data as 20 for the corresponding display statement. Okay. The same way for task. For task also similar way to function external virtual task display outside the class task, then before task name packet scope resolution task name. you need to mention like this. We are going to say about randomization and constraints. So randomization is the process of generating random values to the variable. It is very important property of system Verilog. Verilog we use $random method to generate the random integer values. In system Verilog, it provides rand_c keywords and randomize method. Okay. So the variable should be declared as rand or rand_c. Let's see what is the difference between rand and rand_c. Variable declared with the keyword rand are standard random variables. The values are uniformly distributed over the range. If I declare a variable address as a rand, so the value we can get from 0 to 15. Any value, that is the maximum value we can store in this address, right? So from 0 to 15, any value we may get. The variable declared with rand_c, that is random cyclic. The randomization variable value does not repeat the random value until every possible values has been assigned. If I declare this read as rand_c, okay, so the possibility is 0 and 1. So 1 0, first you will get 0, and the next you should get 1. Once all the possibility, for example, if you take this address, if you declare with the rand_c, you will get all the possibility from 0 to 15. Then only the repetition will be happen. The other value comes, so all the possible values are assigned. Okay. That is the difference between rand and rand_c. In order to randomize the object variable, okay, this is the way you can access the randomize method. Randomize is the predefined method available. Object, okay, instance, class instance name dot randomize. You give automatically the variable which you declare as rand and rand_c will get a randomized values. Let's see one example here. In this example, inside the class packet, address 1 and address 2 are there. So address 1 is declared as rand and address 2 is declared as rand_c. So inside module, I instantiate packet as pkt and I create object for that. Repeat 10. 10 times I am going to randomize the packet. So when I call pkt.randomize, automatically address 1, address 2 will get some random values. Okay. Because I declared that as rand and rand_c. So the difference between rand and rand_c, see here. So I am randomizing 10 times with the help of this $display and displaying these values here. So 1, 3, 3, if you see 3, again you are getting this 3 here. If you see 2, you are getting 2 here. Okay. But when you declare with rand_c in address 2, if you see 5 is not there, again want to repeat it. You see 2, okay. So the possible values from 0 to 7, all the values we are getting. After that only again we are getting 2. Okay. Same way we are getting 1. And so all the possible values we are getting. After that only we are getting this one. But here it will randomly give. Okay, 2 you can get, and then 3 we are getting, right? So this cyclic behavior until we get all the possible values, we won't get the repetition. Okay. That is the use of rand_c. Then disable randomization. We can able to disable and enable the randomization behavior of the variable using rand mode. Rand mode of 1 means you are enabling the randomization behavior. Rand mode of 0 means you are disabling the randomization behavior. The rand mode method return 1 if randomization enable, else it will return 0. If you are put this rand mode inside this condition, okay, if it is enabled, you will get a 1. That is condition will be true, else it will get false. This is the way you can mention the random mode object handle name instance name dot that particular variable dot rand mode. Rand mode, if you give 1, that means enable. If you make it 0, even though if it is declared as rand, that will not behave as a rand. Here address and data are byte, both are declared as rand inside this class packet. Inside the module, I instantiate this packet as pkt and I create a new here pkt address, this address dot rand mode of 0. That means I am disabling the rand behavior for this address. Okay. Then I am randomizing this instance pkt.randomize I am giving, so automatically address and data will get randomized value, but I disable this address randomization behavior with this rand mode, so this will not get randomized. See here, address I am getting the default value, data I am getting some random value. Here I am displaying the corresponding value. Then again here in this $display, I already told if the randomization is enabled for rand mode, you will get value 1, that is true. Okay. If it is disabled, you will get 0 or false. Okay. So for address, for the address we make 0, the rand mode we make it 0. So for this it will give value 0. Okay. Here for data, the random, this rand is enabled. Okay. So for that you will get 1. Okay. For this corresponding data rand mode, it is 1. That means it is enabled. Randomization methods. So SB randomization provide an inbuilt method randomize. So this randomize is a method available by default. The randomization method return 1 if it is randomized. Okay. Else it will give 0. If you put a condition, okay, or you can use assert of randomize, that instance name dot randomize. If you give like that, if it is randomized, you won't get any error. Else you will get an assertion error. Else you can use if condition, if of pkt dot randomize. If it is randomized, if condition that is true. Else but you can mention else but you put a display like no, random is not happen. So you will get a else but if it is not randomized. The randomized method associated with the callbacks pre-randomize and post-randomize. This is also independently available. When you call this instance dot randomize, automatically the pre and post-randomize function will be called. If you want to use those, we can write those methods inside the class and you can implement some functionality inside the pre and post randomize. The user can override pre randomize and post randomize function. That means you can write the same name pre randomize or post randomize. Inside that you can implement your own function. So when you call this randomize, automatically pre randomize and post randomize will be called. Pre that will happen before randomization, post that will happen after randomization. So you will see the example like this. In pre-randomize, you can mention the constraints. User can implement randomization logic in pre-randomized function, or RAN mode, enable disable, that you can mention in the pre-randomize. Inside the post-randomize, if you want to override the randomized value, you can do in post-randomize. If you want to display the randomized value, that also you can mention in post-randomize. Here address and data are there, declared as RAN on a strand C. So this is the pre-randomized method available. I am writing this explicitly so that will override the existing pre-randomized. The same way, I'm writing the post-randomized here. Inside pre-randomized, I just put a display inside pre-randomized, and in post-randomized, I'm printing the randomized value of address and data, and inside post-randomized, the display will be printed. Then inside the module, I insert this PKT packet. Then I create a new and I'm doing PKT.randomize. So automatically if you see here inside pre-randomize, this will be called before the randomization. Then during the randomization, the randomized values are assigned for address and data, and post randomize will be called after randomization, so that I am getting the display for address and data here. And inside post randomize also display here. Then constrained randomization. To control the value getting assigned on randomization by writing the constraint, we can limit the randomization behavior by applying the constraints. So constraint block, they have unique name. You should mention a name for the constraint block. That should be unique name. That should be mentioned within a class. The constraint block contain the condition expression to limit or control the values for the random variable. So you can mention the expression or values inside the constraint block. Constraint block are enclosed with the curly brackets. You should use this bracket. And constraint block can be defined inside the class or outside the class like external method. Constraint block defined outside the class is called as external constraints. So constraint we can mention inside the class, or else we can mention outside the class, and as like external method we call using external keyword. Right? Here you can call with the external keyword, or else you can directly declare the function name, so that you can access the constraint inside the class. Okay, this is the general syntax for the constraint. Constraint name. In this curly bracket, we need to mention the conditional expression. Okay, here, inside the class packet, address declared as RAM 4-bit. Here, I wrote a constraint. This is the constraint block. Okay, constraint, and then constraint name. You can give any name within this curly bracket. You need to mention the condition. Address should be greater than 5. So this constraint you can write outside the class also. So outside the class, constraint, a constraint name. Before the constraint name, you should write the corresponding class, and scope resolution you should use to access the constraints. And this is the constraint. Here you can write, and you can call the constraint here by using external keyword. It's optional. You can use here for constraint, or else directly write constraint, the corresponding constraint. So automatically this constraint will be applied here. Can be accessed here. Then module brand method PKT is nothing but a bracket instance, and we are creating new and 10 times we are doing this randomization. Then we are displaying the address. Okay. So the constraint we applied is address should be greater than 5. You see, all the address generated is greater than 5. Okay, that's the use of the constraint. And constraint inheritance. So constraints also will get inherited from the parent class to child class. Constraint block can be overridden by writing constraint block with the same name in the parent class. Similar way, how inheritance happens. If you write a constraint in the parent class, when you inherit a child class, automatically the constraint will be applicable for the child class. So if I want to overwrite or if I want to change the constraint, means the same name to write the constraint inside the child class will overwrite the existing constraint. In this example, see here. So this is the parent packet class. Okay. So I wrote a constraint address is greater than 5. I am inheriting the packet and I am creating packet 2. Now I want to overwrite the constraint. If I didn't mention the constraint here, automatically for packet 2 also this constraint will be applicable because it is inherited. Now I want to change the constraint. In the parent class, address should be greater than 5. But in packet 2, address should be less than 5. So constraint, the same name if you use, it will be override. The existing one will be override. So address now it will generate less than 5 values. Inside this model, I instantiate PKT1, nothing but this packet, and PKT2, nothing but this packet 2. And I'm creating new for both, and 5 times I'm going to randomize. First I am randomizing PKT1. 5 times I am randomizing PKT1. The constants we mentioned is greater than 5. So all values are greater than 5. After that, 5 times I am randomizing PKT2. So the values generated are less than 5 because I overwrite the existing constraint here. I make it address should be less than 5. So I am getting less than 5 values. And types of constraints. These are the types of constraint, inline constraint. Okay. Then inside constraint, weighted distributive constraint, implication, if-else constraint, iterative constraint, soft constraint, unique constraint, solve before constraint. We will see them. Is inside constraint. The values within the inside block can be variable, constant, or range. So inside is a keyword. After the inside keyword, within this curly bracket, we need to mention the values. Okay. That may be a values. If we have multiple values, we should use this comma between the values. Or else you can mention the range. Within this range, we'll assign the values for the corresponding variable. Okay. So range, if you are using, you should use the square bracket to mention the minimum and maximum value. You can also mix the values and range. So this is general syntax: constraint, constraint name. Then for which variable you are applying this constraint, that variable name. Then inside within this curly bracket, you can mention the values. It should be assigned for the address. If it is a value, use comma. If it is a range, you should use this square bracket to mention the ranges. So I want to assign the value for the address out of this range. So I can use this not before there. Okay. For this address, the value will be assigned out of this range. So for that, we can mention this not before here, before the address. this example, address is there and start address, end address, all are declared as string. Then there is a constraint name address one range. Here for this address, inside is curly bracket. Here we are mentioning range start address colon end address. So when I instantiate this packet after creating new, if I do randomize pkt.randomize, automatically all the variable declared as ran will get the random value. So start address you will get some random value, end address you will get some random value. So that will be assigned for the start address and the end address. And for this address, it will take any values between this range. 3 times I am going to randomize and I am going to print the start address, end address, and the address which is going to print. Start address takes 5 and end address it takes 10. So this address should be inside this range. So 6. So second time repeat 3 times, right? Second time also it will take 5, it takes 7, and inside this range it will take 6. Then address 4, 12, within that it take 8. If I mention this not, it will take out of the range. It should take out of this range. 3, 9. It is assigned as 11. It is out of this range. In 8, it is out of this range. If I want to start address should be minimum and end address should be maximum. So I can write a constraint. Name should be unique. You should not use the same name. It's just address 1. Within this curly bracket, you should mention start address less than end address. So this constraint will also apply for this variable. So if you see this value, you are getting less compared to end address. So here we mention out of the range. So this 2 is the out of range, this 11 is out of range, and this one is out of range. This is start and end address. The next is weighted distributive constraint, another type of constraint. Here, this is the operator keyword, and it takes the list of values and weights separated by this colon equal. That it is used to mention the weightage for the value. Colon slash both are used. The difference between colon equal and colon slash is when you use colon equal, here weightage 5 is assigned for 2. Here the weightage 8 is assigned for 10, 11 and 12. To use slash, for the same if I use slash, this weightage will be distributed to 10, 11 and 12. So if you take the individual weightage of 10, that will be 3, 11 that will be 3 and 12 that will be 2. So total the weightage is 9. If you use colon equal, individual values have the weightage 8. Let's see the example. Here address 1 and address 2 are declared as ran. For address 1, distributive constraint. Okay. So this is the keyword used inside. Is a keyword used for inside constraint. Here for distributive constraint, this is the keyword, so that you can give the weightage for each value. So based on the weightage, it will, this address one will choose the values. Here the weightage of 2 is 5, the weightage of 10 is 8, 11 is 8, 12 is 8. Here the weightage for address 2, the weightage of 2 is 8 and weightage of 10 is nothing but 8 divided by 3. Okay. So weightage is shared here. So if I do Piketty dot randomize 10 times, you see here for address 1, the probability of taking 2 is less compared to this one. Okay. You will get 2 here and 3 times you are getting. But here the probability of taking the weightage for 2 is high. Okay, this is the 8 is shared for 10, 11, 12, but here for 2 the weightage is 8. So the probability of taking 2 is high, okay, compared to the previous one. So this is use of the distributive constraint. Then implication constraint. Implication operator can be used to declare the condition relation between the two variables. Implication operator is denoted by the symbol. So this implication operator. The implication operator is placed between the expression and the constraint. So this is general syntax: constraint, constraint name. This expression, if the expression is true, automatically this constraint will be applied. We'll see an example for this. Address range. So address range is declared as string, then address is declared as 4-bit random. Here the constraint is implication constraint we are using, constraint name. So inside that, first we are telling that if address range equal to small, if this address range, if it is small, it should apply this constraint. That is the implication. Address value should be generated less than 8. In this model, we are instantiating this Piketty packet as Piketty, and then Piketty dot address range equal to small. Here we are mentioning that address range should be small. So when I do randomize, automatically this will be small. Address range is small. Here I assign. So this constraint will be applied. So each time, with the help of this dollar display, I am printing this address range and address. So everywhere it is less than 8. If I mention as large, so this constraint will not be applied. Okay, because it is large, so it will not happen. It will take any value. It may be less than 8 or greater than 8. Then if else constraint, as like if else, we are applying the constraint. If this condition is true, this constraint will be applied. If this is not true, the else part, whatever the constraint you are mentioning, that will have applied to the variable. Here, same address and address range, it is declared as string. So if this address range equal to small, and I define the address range as small, here I instantiate the bracket, and after creating new, I make address range as small. So when I do Piketty dot randomize, 3 times I am doing the randomization. So each time you see the address is generated less than 8. Then after that, I make that address range as high. Again, 3 times I'm doing the randomization. You see the generated values are greater than 8. It takes the else part of the constraint. This is the way you have to mention if else constraint. Then iterative constraint, it is used to randomize the elements of the array. Using the for each loop within the constraint block will make easy to constrain an array. So this is the general syntax: constraint name for each. Then this is the, here we should mention the array, variable array name, then iterator I. So within that you can mention variable iterator, that corresponding condition. So each element based on this condition, values will be assigned for each element of the array. See the example. Here address and data are declared as rand. It is a dynamic array. Okay. The size is not mentioned. It is a dynamic array. So here I wrote a constraint for choose the size of the array. So constraint name address dot size is less than 4. So you should take any value less than 4. Then I wrote another constraint. D size is the constraint name. Data size equal to address size. Whatever the size is assigned for address, the same size should be assigned for data for the dynamic array. Then inside the element for dynamic array element, I wrote a constraint a value for each address of I. Then address of I inside, you can use any type of constraint here. For each here for each constraint we are using constraint name. Here inside for each you should mention the array, and the array corresponding element, you can, for taking corresponding element, you can mention any type of constraint here. Inside constraint I am using here, and here I just assign the condition. The data j should greater than 10. Constraint d value is the constraint name for each data j less than greater than 10. So the element should be take values greater than 10 for data. So for address, it will take any one of this value each time, and I do randomize. So inside the model, I said that, and after creating new 2 times, I'm going to randomize. I am going to display the size and the corresponding values of the address and data. Okay, first time it took size 1, okay, less than 4, it took size 1. So automatically, based on this constraint, data size should be 1. The element here, the size is 1. Here I and j, no need to declare explicitly, automatically it will consider. For this constraint, it will, the element address of 1 will take any one of the value. Here it took 4, and for this data, it will take any one value greater than 10. So it took value 18. Then second iteration, it takes data size, address size 2, the data size also 2. Then address, it took 16, and next time it is 4. And for data, it is greater than 10, so take the 22. The next time takes 37. Then inline constraint. While writing the randomize method, okay, you can also mention the constraint along with the randomize. So that is called inline constraint. So you should use this class along with the randomize. So this is the general syntax object dot randomize with, here you can mention the constraints. In this example, class packet This address is declared as RAN 4-bit. Then instead of mentioning the constraint here, inside the module, after insert this bracket, after creating new, 2 times I'm going to randomize. Along with randomize, tkt.randomize with address less than 5. Okay. So if I mention like this, automatically the constraint will be applied while randomizing. The address value for the corresponding display, the address is 4 and then 1 and then 4. This is less than 5. So you can also mention the constraint here. Here mention the constraint as address should be greater than 5. Here I mention address should be less than 5. Okay, when I mention two constraints, but the constraint, see here, if this is less than 5, but this is greater than 5. If you mention like this, you will get an error like constraint inconsistency failure. You can apply two constraints, but condition should be matched. See here, if I apply this constraint, both will be applied. The value should choose inside 6 to 12. But I am mentioning less than 5. If I take greater than 5, both constraint will be applied and you will get the value address inside 6 to 12. Address should be greater than 5. So here address should be greater than 5 and it should be within this range. So both constraints are applied. But if you are giving as previous, I mentioned as address less than 5 and its value should be within 6 to 12. So this is not able to generate. At that time you will get the error. And one more thing, if you are to resolve this, we are using soft constraint that we will see next. We are applying two constraints, but two constraints are not matched. That means one constraint and I want to apply the address should be less than 5. For another condition, I want to generate the address greater than 5. So if I write two constraints like this, so compiler giving that inconsistency failure, okay. Constraint inconsistency failure. To avoid that, we can use soft constraint. So when you use soft keyword, so that constraint will not get affected. Okay. When I didn't apply another constraint, okay, for example, inline constraint I didn't mention means that soft constraint will take effect. To avoid the constraint conflict, we are using this soft keyword. To overcome this constraint conflict. So this is the general syntax: constraint name, and soft is the keyword used before the variable name. So then you can mention here. After that, you should mention this semicolon for all the constraints. Here, inside this bracket, for address, I wrote address range constraint. I mentioned soft. Address greater than 6. For the same address, I write an inline constraint pkt dot randomize with address less than 6. So both the different range I am expecting different way. So I should get constraint inconsistency failure. To avoid that, if I use soft, so this will take effect. So the value generated is less than 6. If I didn't mention this, typically the constraint which we mentioned here is there. It will generate values greater than 6. Then unique constraint. Constraint defined with the keyword unique is called unique constraint. So when you declare with the unique constraint, the values will be unique for the element of array or maybe a variable. Okay. For example, if here I declare 3 variables, variable 1, variable 2, variable 3, all are declared as random, all are 4 bits. And I declared array, static array of size 6, that also I declared as random. So here I wrote a unique constraint, constraint name. Within this curly bracket, I have to use the unique keyword, and within this bracket, I have to mention the variables. So that means variable 1, variable 2, variable 3, you should get the unique values. That is, now the value should not be repeated. For example, this array 6. For this, I am applying unique constraint. Unique using this curly bracket. Inside that, we should mention the array name. If you want to apply, you want to write 2 conditions for the constraint in a single constraint name, you should use this semicolon and you can write the another condition here. Here one condition, array should be unique. That means array element should be unique. And for each array of I less than 6. So all the elements should be less than 6. And each element should be unique. So 2 conditions you can mention. 2 conditions if you want to mention inside the condition, you need to use this semicolon between these two. And inside the display function, I display value of variable 1, 2, and 3, and then array using percentage %. Then inside the program block, inside this packet, and I create object, and I am randomizing, and with the help of calling this display, you can able to print these values. See all the values, variable 1, variable 2, variable 3, all are unique values, and for array elements, all are unique values. Less than 6 is the one condition. So all value generated less than 6, and if I mention unique, so that the values are not get repeated, we are not getting the unique values. Then solve before constraint. Solve before is the constraint property. Solve before is used inside the constraint block to specify the order of constraint solving. So constraint are solved bidirectionally. That means if you are mentioned more than one constraint, both the constraints are happen at the same time. That means constraint or all are random variable will be solved parallelly. If the variable are dependent due to bidirectional nature of the constraint, the value of one variable will influence the value of another variable. Solve before constraint are used to force the constraint solver to choose the order in which constraints are solved based on the constraint you are mentioning. Okay, it should give the priority to solve that constraint first, and then it should do the remaining. So here is an example for this. Rand bit A. If bit A that declared as rand, then 4-bit B that declared as rand. Here the constraint applied is A equal to 1. And A value is 1, this implication bidirectional implication. When A value is 1, B value should be 0. When B value is 0, A value should be 1. So that is the constraint applied. Then another constraint is solve before constraint. We are mentioning solve A before B semicolon. Okay. The constraint should be mentioned inside the curly brackets. That means we should solve A before B. So when you, after instantiate and after getting your 10 times, I am going to randomize. Each time when I randomize, A is a bit, it may take value 1 or 0. So when A value took 1, B value should be 0. So we need to solve A before B. Okay. That means telling a constraint solve A. So A value be solved first. So if it takes value 1, B value should be 0. So if I randomize 10 times, you see, each time when the value of A took 1, the B value is 0. Okay. Each time value takes 1, the value is 0. Right? So this is where it will take the corresponding value. That's